Is it ready?
Yeah,
Starts, right?
yeah.
你还有多少斤？
啊，实际其实我已经在拍了，有的内存，有的。
要10个 G 啊？算了一下，
不行，我可以删软件。
实在不行录到1个小时换，无所谓的。等我一下。大哥，那两天干活不要太累，我们一天打个球。没有，我跟就是他可能干了
我接下来那个，
他可能干了40%到50%，我干了30%到40%，是啊，也挺喜欢干的。
我3月都没，我也没做。你开始了吗？
这个开始了，这个好像不是
剩下我们3个平台。
可以把它调高一点吗？
你让他调一下，我记下来。
这个能调高一点，这个能调高一点。
那我们要记录这个他们程。
会看中文。
好了，只能这样了。Control 不是2块吗？
测一下
一个英文的一个
够时间是。
好大那个，你看什么都有。
当报告里面怕1怕2。
就平时没什么。
现在是1分44，22点。
几乎我都因为我实在不想干一个string 一个 string 然后我把我一个60我就60。然后把它加到大概人才可以的。
我以前也是在打火机嘛，关键在哪？
我不知道这不是这是要写的东西，就那个说的挺
60的电可以录完吗？
够呛，但是我有充电宝。
还有我也有是
那没有。
我在车上面，我也看。
靠，这么靠谱。
我上那群里听说要录2个小时视频而已，就立马把充电宝拿过来。
这个有5分钟测。
也是跟刚才那个是 Switch 一起的。
对，只不过
你这个是什么插头来着？你这是什么插头？我这7
我是 Type-C。
听不懂。
陆老师要换人玩手机了。
手机不行，得开始玩，而且这个不用动。你们开始了吗？
开始了，早开始了。
我们也开始。
录1.1个小时啊？
啊
？1.1个小时还是几个小时？2个。
哎，不用，
应该是一
就
个。
room temperature 就15度，也不用。
啊，we are starting now。
这个就像挂上去好吗？室温就2个，2个地平，2个地平2个。这个是
这是 sleep。
室温，那我先教一下。
这也太无聊了。
拿你手机录
啊，用手机录的。
你带 iPad 了吗？
没有。发呆，好吧，发呆。
现在开始脑子里
对
记忆宫殿开始学习。
等一会儿换人对。
但这2个的原长好像。
我听着怎么像一个时间段？
大家不是很水平的拍的不是很水平。
我也都是。
Hello everyone。
本来也不是一个多严谨的事情，不差这个。
Great. Until now, you measured the coil diameter, wire thickness, temperature throughout the test, and you recorded your video. From video, you have to gather a couple of data points, like 10 data points, right? 10 or 20. So during these data points, you should get your data for each of the coils. So you should know the number of coils. You're gonna measure the distance between one coil to another. You have to record the time. So you're gonna measure the distance and you're gonna record the time at that point. So you should always, of course, you should keep the alloy type for each data set. And you're gonna answer these questions, what happened during the test that might have affected the sample deformation, like experimental errors or other stuff. For data analysis, let's first go through the characteristics of the creep first. So the creep, just like Adnan said, happens under the load, persistent load under yield strength. So it's a slow mechanism, and several factors impacts that, which that's why actually we have coiled sample, because the down point of the coil have the smallest, actually the last point of the coil doesn't carry anything, the upper point of the coil carries the other loops, so the actually load changed by the loop. So that's why you have to plot your creep strain versus time graph with different loadings, which means different loops for your case. And for our experiments, it's the initial part of the creep fracture, like it has 3 stages. The first point in which decelerating increase of the strain, then the second stage we expect a linear increase on the strain with respect to time, and the third stage of the creep is the where the rupture happens, in which accelerated increase in the strain rate. So during this experiment, since we are doing in a short amount of time, yes, 1.5 hours is short amount of time, we only will be able to see the first part of the creep, and your plot's supposed to show a decelerating increase and then a constant linear increase in the strain rate. You're supposed to answer, is there any difference in the creep behavior for the samples, your samples? You don't have this one, thin and lead one, which gave you the data, which will be giving your data. You have the copper one and the silver one. There's no copper in the silver one. This is just a mistake. And we want to answer you this question: is this creep behavior significantly different? So even for this graph, you have any idea? Like, is this is the original one, the one which contains lead, and these are the plots obtained from the year before experiment. Do you have like any idea of differences between, like, is there any huge difference between these two plots? You're supposed to answer
Does it
this
look
question.
different?
Yeah. Any ideas?
Go for it.
If you consider the axes, like, it's orders of magnitude different, right?
Ah, great.
Yeah, perfect.
Great, good answer, perfect. So exactly, this is what you need to do, because you have to plot them in the logarithmic scale, and the logarithmic scale, the magnitude is changed a lot, the order of magnitude. So again, what I'm looking for, measure the displacements of each coil S, the distance S here, just like I said. Calculate the strain value for each loop using this formula, which we already measured the coil diameter. We already have the coil width, yes, and this S distance you're gonna measure from your video. You're supposed to calculate stress value for each position with the given formula, and you're supposed to calculate then the plot strain rate, which is the derivative of this equation, and you're supposed to again plot in the logarithmic scale strain rate and stress for alloy in for each alloy, and also with the you should specify the time. No, your stresses, you already got it. And from them, you, where's that from? Yes, you
All this is
have
in
a
your brief
formula.
as well, all this
Exactly.
data.
You have a formula given in your sheet, experiment sheet, which you're supposed to calculate stress component and activation energy. And finally, you're supposed to answer this question, like which alloy would be the best suited for replacement of the tin and lead alloy. So you can use image J basically. Let me show how you can use it.
So from your videos that you're going to take, you're obviously not going to extract every single frame, but over the course of the next 1.5 or 2 hours, you probably need around 20 different time steps. And for those time steps, you will be doing image analysis. I think in your brief it mentioned ImageJ, and it's a very good software which is free that allows you to quite easily measure the displacements for each loop.
Where's this image on
What do you say?
the image?
What do you mean?
I want to copy
Oh.
to the image.
I need to take a screenshot.
Yes.
So this is a photo from last year's groups. Since we don't have the ruler in frame here like you do, we had to make do with a scale bar. But ISO is now going to show you how you can extract measurements from your frames.
Exactly. You're supposed to have a given distance, like ruler, in your image. Just Philip said we don't have here. I'm using this bar. With the line.
Oh, you need to pull it on the monitor. As you can see it on the screen right now. Yeah.
Oh.
If you, yeah, here.
Ah, great. We have line tool here, which we can draw a line with that tool.
So here you would
For
use
given
obviously your
distance.
ruler. So you measure a set distance that you know in centimeters or millimeters, and you draw a line on it like I suggested.
And we have set scale option here, in which again I have to carry this one. So here, yes. We supposed to give known distance, which is 20 in the given unit, which is millimeter for us. And we can say that right now we set the scale, so any distance we measure supposed to be given in the millimeter, which can be shown just below, like length, like 17 millimeter for this case. And we're supposed to measure the distance between the loops, which you're supposed to do that, selecting that tool here, preferably selecting the corner edge of a loop, and selecting your data points, like I just select 3 of them, and Control N, which gives you the measurements in X and Y. So you can measure the distance looking by the Y values. So it says like approximately 20 millimeter distance between one and data point 2. So what you're supposed to do that, just stop the video on certain data points. Like you have to do it like 20 times, 20 times. You're supposed to stop your video, get your data, and also you record the time for that specific instance.
Some notes here. Some things you need to consider as well is obviously whether or not you start at the bottom with your numbering or at the top. Ultimately, it doesn't matter as long as you specify what exactly you did in your report. But it is important that you have the top of your coil in frame, because obviously this is already one loop. And this would be separation 0 right here. Make sure you do that. And of course you can place these points anywhere along one loop. But of course it also makes sense to put it on the edge because it's quite easy to see in your videos.
Exactly. And this is for imaging. It says something here.
You can just minimize it.
And here is some results from a year before experiment, which you always supposed to give something like that. This is the distance as gap versus time they measured, and they measured for the different loop of the sample they have. You shouldn't supposed to call them series 1 or series 2. Obviously, you should call them the number of loop. You should give the number of the loop and plot in this way. And also, this is another graph like strain rate versus time. It shouldn't be in pixel per time, but it should be millimeter per time. And it's totally alright to have this kind of scattered data points. So it's not a perfect experiment. There is no perfect experiment. So don't change your data points. Don't try to make them look more smooth or more nicer. We don't need that. Just plot your data points as they are. So this is what you're supposed to do, I believe. Do we have another thing? Yes, this is the aforementioned formula, which you're supposed to calculate C value here, which is the just proportionality constant, and Q value here, which is the activation energy. You are calculating the strain rate, you have the stress value, you have the formula for that, and you're supposed to calculate stress component by fitting. Yes. This is the logarithmic scale and the strain rate, strain rate versus the loop graph, which is another type of graph we asked from you. And you again supposed to do that for both of the samples. And again, data doesn't need to be perfect. Don't change your data, alright?
Alright,
Yes,
that's good. So we are going to let this experiment run until around 4:30, 4:35-ish. But not everyone needs to be here for that. So as long as one group member is here, the rest can scatter.
提取数据，就是电脑一个图片，用电脑也可以直接测出图片里面这个多长。
比例尺呢是怎么搞的？我没听明白。我没听，也不是没听明白。我一抬头的时候，它
就是这个答案，应该不难，我猜。是
国内如果用的不多，小公司也没有教程。
现在就是手机拿着个绕在 briefing 里面。
现在几点？
对，
连时间都看不到啊。1点、2点51。
不用自己量，我记得比较好。
你们让你们做哎。
不是这个，
这也太无聊了，
这么有难度。
想学习都学不了。
每次发呆时间是最慢的。
上课的时候发呆很快，或者该写东西的时候。
是这个没有我这个跟时间赛跑是吧？没输。 这个里边还蛮有问题，但你再把它导到，
对，再过一会儿，再过一会儿换。
啊，
那么多久？
才20分钟。
那可以换了。
等一下，
然后你这个导的话，它能给你更多功能。
这个是要做1个小时还是2个小时？
如果是2个小时，我现在就离开这里。
做到4点。
然后
4点45。对啊，4点做到4点45。
是2个小时。
那个2个小时，
这个时间是2个小时。
1个半。
1个半，然后换人是必须换人。
哦，有可能2个小时，因为你4点半。
对啊。
不是，那这可以把设备理在这，我先回家睡觉。
对啊，我都去吃饭回来了。
在原地来一把什么，打一把游戏。
早上打开。
我就是看群里他们说这个时间超长，我很带。但是我 iPad 没充电，我当时录的时候只有60%。我可以查看我的电量吗？还是我一滑下它就会黑屏？
应该不会，
用手机实验室。
就是把数据评估。那个有些有，他让你再上。
55还可以。
总了。
就是只需要把我们俩留在这可以啊，这个实验。
太不人道了，也太不人道了。
因为大家坐在这都是玩自己的手机，除了有的人没有手机。
然后修完以后，
他们在讨论什么？不参与一下。
反正电脑给。
我在发呆。
我也是。2个小时的实验，那是有点久。
这个有啊，我们页面率有啊，不如跟率有，然后实验应该也有，就是它整个的重量有。然后
你在充电线吗？
我在推宝。
这是谁充电线？
我们组员好像。
是 Type C 吗？我看一眼。我想试一下能不能插进去。
应该可以。
它不是，它底下有那个，它有个挡着的东西。不行，好像
可以等一会儿。
太好吃。
它这样不会断掉吧？我看有多少电。
不行。算了，没关系。我觉得它插不进去在充，就是在支的时候。你那个可以插。
是的，我这个可以。我还有很多电。
你至少都6次吧，至少采集6个点，我就10个点，我靠，你知道。6个点，总共几个？有几个？不是，不同时间是他每个路口要采集，不能在每个路口采集。
在偷听。
8个，我上面不是数据是8个吗？8个 series。或者你上网上我有这个。
这 coffee 也太牢固了。
然后
这 coffee 那个也太牢固了。
没组胶是一样的。
没变。
是啊。
说明实验真的会要分析这个实验，这个材料很不容易。
我觉得到时候翻视频跟个点找又很不一样。
你算的总共是时间多长？
跟那个用泰勒的 test 一样，一秒一秒看。
啊。
每个不一样。20分钟。
你看到那个实验，我们不知道是谁，直接当天回去就把直接发我们的数据，没把视频发给我，太善良了。
你们1次就成功了。
没有，我们用了那个2，那个什么2的就成功了。
我后面去测了好多次，就不是，就是后面还去了换了一天去，就是测出来数据不行，数据太低了。
我也
后面又去。
有提高吗？
而且不是我们组的人在那边转，另外一个人组转的是，就他转着转着就一直在上升，一直在上升。
不是他们说只要停到一个就可以。
我们就没有，比如说我们设的是270，但我们连270
没达到。那我们当时是
要采集20个点。
他才坐牢，还手机都没有。
第一个是1分钟1个点，第二个2个小时的是6分钟1个点。
1分钟1个点，那我要20个图片。 一个一个
每个实验都有20个图片，然后你要一个一个拿尺子把它比出来。
啊，第一个是1分钟
，1分钟。
然后每一张图片都有8个 CD。
那还不如让我们1分钟照一张照片。
那可能视频更那个。
视频还要自己截一遍。
啊，对，那个 design report 有新的
照片跟视
deadline，
频已经没有区别了。
design report 有新那个 deadline 的。
那个什么的，
对，
没
哦。
但是我听他们说一定会在 reading week 和 scenario week 之后，就是3月。
哦，那好。
那就很远。
还没开始写。
那个，你看到的 report 你写了吗？
哎，写了个开头。
因为那个不是小组，
这个还是我就是没推迟 deadline 之前写，他推迟以后就没
写过。
写
过，我也是。
但是我组员怎么说是2个印度歌，我也不好问人家要数据，感觉问他们要那个就是具体的方案太多，最多 PPT 拖他们的图片。
但是他们不是小组，我们就是应该每个人负责一块。
报告是个人，我不知道。如果
你 report 是要每个人负责一块，是吧？report 的小组每个人写。
报告是 individual，
是 individual， 但是你们大部分的内容是重复的，只有你个人的，就是要求是这样的，只有你们个人那里是，就是你写你自己的那个。
那挺好。是。但我看2个印度歌不给。
有点不懂，就是个人那个是把自己在小组那部分写了就行，还是
就是
把整个东西
你
自己再写一遍？
还要自己写那个你自己建模建出来的那个，我们不是每个人有2500、2000几不一样，就是要写那个。
就相当于你把每个组里面的每个人的部分拼接起来，然后最后加一部分你的最好的对比的。
那个比较短，就是写自己的那个好像是短
一点，就是主要是就是每个组员的每个部分给它拼一下。
是你知道平常听那种负责的是那种没什么意义的，什么 pitch the line conclusion，
能把
我都不知道我要写什么。
放进第3 report，
你要引用合理引用就可以。
我当时写 manufacturing， 我跟我组员熬了3天夜。整天 manufacturing process， 真的。
你们那个写完了？
啊？
你看这还在录？
写完了，遭老罪，写3天。
用的那个电脑软件，刚刚就是测
Image J。
吓我一跳。
这是我起床的闹铃，想不到吧？
合作了，等他们回来我要换人。
那这干嘛？
买水去了。
那你猜他买完回来？
包子在这，应该没走。
可能只是把包留着了，其实回家了，1个小时之后说买回来了。你很聪慧，你还带着水来。
对啊，我想说3小时干死。
这附近如果想买水，应该去哪？
楼下，这边 Robert 的 building 楼下那个激光不是有个那个，就刷门进来的地方左转。
哦，我记得，我也要去。
还会回来吗？
我的 iPad 留在这里。
反正在这儿。
OK。